But today, I'm the greatest of all time. Thank you.
Never stop, I'll get it if I want it. Gotta make to myself a promise. I won't quit, keep going till I got it. I won't give up till I'm on top.
Yo, no, I ain't the type to give up. If I do something, man, I do it till I get what I want. I turn a business out of nothing into something I love. I got a poker face, but honestly, I'm not one to bluff. I flip a switch, never miss, man, I always stay up. Don't let them see you always have a plan to stay tough. This life ahead of you ain't easy, it was built to be rough. But that's what makes a personality, is tragedy, bruh. So keep your head on your shoulders. Now we ain't out here moving rocks, we out here moving boulders. Now we ain't getting posterized, we out here making posters. And we ain't got nothing to hide, we move forward like soldiers. You better wake up for the pay stub, or you'll pay up. Don't make love to the game, bruh, fuck the game up. Change up, rearrange stuff to your greatness. Same us for the way up, play the game, bruh.
Never stop, I'll get it if I want it. Gotta make to myself a promise. I won't quit, keep going till I got it. I won't give up till I'm on top, yeah.
You know I'm always honest, there ain't no way I'll ever stop it.
I won't quit, keep going till I got it. I won't give up till I'm on top,
I'm always flirting with pain, she like to hurt me and maim. I'm always working to change, but she's still lurking the same. I keep on building a dynasty while the haters be trying me, but they hate from inside.
All right, what's up, everyone? Welcome to another edition of Unscripted here on the Elite Sports and Entertainment Network. I'll be your host and producer this evening, Logan Landers, and joining me to do some 2024 NFL Divisional Round predictions, as always, Jay McLevin. Jay, how are you, man? It's been a rough few days, I'm sure.
Yeah. You know, with the Cowboys keeping Mike McCarthy, I'm not exactly thrilled. But you know what? It is what it is, and life goes on, man. I'm looking forward to talking some sports. We got a lot of good playoff football still to come, honestly, and I'm glad to talk about it.
That we do, and our stat guy, Dustin Reese. Dustin, what's up, man?
Oh, not much. Finally warming up a little bit. We're a balmy 11 degrees today.
Oh, nice. Very nice and frigid. We're about, I think we're at 17 last I checked, so we're not a whole lot warmer. It ain't fun. Well, guys, if you enjoy the video, this episode, give us a like, follow, share, and, of course, subscribe so you don't miss a single episode. We go live each and every single week on our various social media platforms, being Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, Twitch, X, and wherever else you want to find us at the Elite Sports and Entertainment Network, as well as on Roku with Northeast Streaming Sports. As always, we appreciate them for hooking us up and having us able to stream over there each and every single week. Well, guys, let's just get right into it. We got a lot of good games to cover. We got 4 to be exact. And let's just get things rolling. Let's start things off here. Let's go Green Bay and San Francisco. So, guys, give your thoughts on this one. How is this going to play out? Dustin, I'll let you start off first. Who do you have winning this one?
We're doing this one first over Houston and Baltimore?
Yeah. I mean, we're just kind of going to go down the line.
Oh, okay. I wasn't prepared for that. Well, anyways, this is the Green Bay Packers kryptonite in the playoffs, and you've seen it now going all the way back to 2011 when Colin Kaepernick decided to run circles around their defense, and that was the first of 4 consecutive losses for the Packers against the 49ers in the playoffs, including Aaron Rodgers' last playoff game as a member of the Packers when they lost 10-9 at Lambeau Field in what was called the Snow Globe game. We've seen it for a while now. Teams that have that first round bye kind of tend to struggle a bit out of the gates, and Kyle Shanahan has struggled at times in big games, so I do expect there to be a little rust coming out of this bye week, especially when most of the players did not even play last week, so some of them are going to be going on 17 days without really even playing an NFL game. And then you have the Green Bay Packers, who have been pretty much in win now mode going back to the beginning of December, and really the last 4 weeks seem to be playing their best football of the year. Jordan Love has 20 touchdowns and 1 interception over his last 8 or 9 games. I mean, he's been playing at an MVP level, even though he's not going to win it. He's been playing like an MVP. Packers defense has finally shown up and started to play the way a lot of people expected them to play this year. And they always say the scariest playoff team are teams that peak towards the end of the season in teams that have a young roster with nothing to lose, and that is something that the Packers are doing. They're peaking at the right time. They have a young roster that has nothing to lose, and this team is starting to remind me of that 2010 Super Bowl team that they had when they went on the road the entire way and had to play their way in just to get into the playoffs. I'm going to roll with the Packers 27-24.
All right. Jay, go ahead and talk about this game, man. Obviously, we saw impressive win out of Green Bay and how they were able to just shock the world seemingly. And then as for San Francisco, we know this is their game to kick off their playoffs. So, you have a team who's coming into this one obviously red hot with the Packers riding that wave of momentum. You think they can catch the 49ers slipping after having that week off?
Yeah, no. Do I think you're going to catch them slipping? Absolutely not. I really don't, man. This 49ers team, if anything, they needed the rest. More specifically, they needed the rest for Christian McCaffrey, which we know is a big part of that offense. Christian was kind of going into this playoffs hurt, not feeling at his full potential. So I think if they would have had to play the wild card round, that could have really put Christian in jeopardy. And who knows what could have happened. So having that little bit of rest, having that little bit of treatment for him to go through was absolutely unequivocally beneficial for San Francisco. And the game's going to be at home. And even if they do come out a little rusty, this is the game for them to get back in the groove on. So you get rest, you get a tune-up game for the Super Bowl, for the NFC conference game, and then we'll see where we go from there. But let's not look. I like Green Bay, no doubt about it. They have a good team over there. Jordan Love definitely has done more than what I expected Jordan Love to do this season, and he did a good job against the Cowboys. But let's not call it what it is. They played a crappy Cowboys team. The Cowboys did not put any kind of pressure whatsoever on Jordan Love, period. They didn't put pressure at the line of scrimmage. They didn't put pressure on the wide receivers. The Cowboys' cornerbacks were lost in the sauce. Let's not make this game out against the Cowboys more than what it was. And does Green Bay really deserve to be there? Given the performance that the Cowboys gave them, quite honestly. Had this been a better equipped Cowboys team on the game management side, on the game planning side, had they get more of attack mode and been better prepared, I don't think we're looking at Green Bay here. I don't think the Green Bay deserves the right to even accompany this accoutrement of playoff games. But they're here. They're here because by the way of a crappy Cowboys collapse, unprepared. That's why they're here. But I don't want to take anything away from Green Bay. They have done exceptionally with what they've been given. But this is where it ends. And it's going to end here. But I got to give them their props, but this is where it ends. Point blank and simple. And Brock Purdy, Debo, they have so many offensive weapons. On the defensive side, Chase Young, Bosa, it just goes on and on. This team is way more equipped than what Green Bay is equipped to handle, period. And I think we're going to see the real Jordan Love once they get pressure like San Francisco will do, right? So let's keep it in perspective.
Okay, well said. For me, yeah, obviously, the Packers, and you guys have mentioned how they did last week, but Aaron, man, Jones had one of the best performances, you could ever think of with how he was able to run the ball. He was just, no offense, Jay, just lighting y'all up. I don't know what got into him. It seems every time he plays the Cowboys, he gets because he's from Texas, so he just gets a little bit of extra energy. And he decided to have the best game of the season, much to the dismay of Jay McLovin. But like I said, not taking anything away from Jordan Love. The numbers show that he has been one of the hottest quarterbacks in football, if not the not hottest quarterback in football for multiple weeks now. And like I say, you can't take nothing away from that. He's well exceeded my expectations of him. After they came out the gate stumbling and they weren't looking so hot. A lot of us were saying, is he really going to be the guy that takes over for them in Green Bay with, the lineage of Aaron Rodgers and whatnot? But he took all that and he turned it around, and he's been on a really good wave here for a lot of weeks. So we'll see if it can continue. But obviously, on paper, San Francisco should just mop the floor with them. They should. That's how it should be. But I didn't think they beat Dallas. I thought Dallas would beat them because, I mean, they had the number 1 ranked offense in the league. But I think Jordan Love has shown me something personally. But in terms of just how good of a quarterback he is, I'm not just saying over last week, but I'm saying since he's really been red hot. But if he can pull this out, and I don't think there's anyone outside of Green Bay thinking they're going to win for the most part, except for I know Dustin said so. That will really say, okay, this dude, he might have something here. That's not, maybe just a really good hot streak. So it remains to be seen. But for me, I feel more comfortable picking the 49ers in this one. They got that week of rest. I think that's, like you said, well needed. Kind of nursing some bumps and bruises they've had along the way this season as you get in football. So I'll go San Francisco winning this one. I want it to be a good game, though, so I'll go San Francisco 28, and I'll go with Green Bay 21. I think that the Packers are going to put up a good fight, but I think ultimately San Francisco is just a little bit better, and that is what I will go with. All right, well, Dustin mentioned it, so we'll hop over to that one next. AFC divisional round, Houston Texans and Baltimore Ravens, but we'll leave you, Dustin, for the main event for this one. Dustin, kick this one off. Who is going to win this one? Who's going to win this one, the Texans or the Ravens? Two of the hottest quarterbacks right now, not just in the AFC, but just in football.
For as well as Lamar Jackson has played this season and basically his entire career, the playoffs have not done well to Lamar Jackson. He's got one playoff win this is technically his 5th playoff appearance because he hasn't played a game yet, but in his previous 4 playoff appearances, he has only 1 win and has not looked good once the playoffs start. For him to even be considered a top 5 quarterback, not only does he need to win this game, but he needs to make it to the Super Bowl, because winning this game and then losing next week at home to either Buffalo or Kansas City is really not going to do him any good, because Buffalo and Kansas City are the 2 teams that you basically set your standards on in the AFC, because those teams have been the class of the AFC for the better part of the past 5 years until Baltimore got that number 1 seed this year. And I kind of put Houston in the same situation that I put Green Bay in. You look at where that team was heading into Week 15. They had to play their way into the playoffs to win that division. They have a quarterback who's playing outstanding football. They have a young team who has nothing to lose and doesn't fear anybody at this time, and they have peaked at the right time. CJ Stroud he's a rookie, but he does not play like a rookie. He doesn't look like a rookie, and he made the best defense in the NFL last week look absolutely terrible. Baltimore has the 2nd best defense in the NFL, so they're going to be a tall task for CJ Stroud. This game's going to be on the road, and I don't know what the weather's supposed to be or not, because weather could play a factor in this. But I like Houston. Whatever reason, I don't trust Lamar Jackson in the playoffs. I just don't until he can prove me otherwise. I'm going with Houston 28 and Baltimore 24.
Ooh. All right, Jay. As Dustin mentioned, obviously the Texans had a showing out party in their victory. And, as for Baltimore, they're expected to make it to the Super Bowl. I mean, they've been a great team, and they've looked really good. But I don't know. Are you going to go with the young upstart rookie who's been on this insane tidal wave of getting the city behind him and getting them, into the divisional round after being just selected not even a year ago? Or are you going to go with, I guess you could say, the veteran in Lamar Jackson, who's still just obviously super young and a lead vote getter in a lot of people's eyes for MVP?
Yeah, absolutely. This is one of the few times I'm going to go with the underdog here, and I am going to ride this hot wave of Houston Texans run along with Dustin there. Even though we do know that the Ravens bolstered up that running game a little bit with Dalvin Cook, I don't know that is going to be enough between Dalvin Cook, Gus Edwards, and Lamar Jackson, which I guess you could say is a 3-headed monster on the run game. I like what I like about the Texans is I think they had a little bit better receiving core in this. And you can say maybe it's the receiving core itself, or maybe it's just the fact that Stroud has made them one of the better receiving cores. But I really do like the company. I like The only weakness I think on that Texans could be the Singletary. I think it's Pierce. I think is the other running back they got there. I don't know if the running game is going to be as stout as what Baltimore is going to give them. But, and of course, the defense definitely, that edge, in my mind, still kind of goes to Baltimore, right, with Roquan Smith and company. I think, isn't Jadeveon Clowney over there now, too, as well, with Baltimore? Didn't he wind up landing there? Yeah, so.
Playing his old team.
Yeah, so I mean, the Ravens have a good defense, but D'Amico Ryans is a defensive guy himself out of San Fran, so he's going to have that defense along with his defensive coordinator. That whole side, they're going to have Texan ready to go on the defensive side. Kareem Jackson and company, that's secondary. We'll see what he does. Hopefully, he doesn't get any head targeting penalties and stuff like that, which Kareem has been subject to in the past. But I like this Texans team. I like C.J. Stroud. I know they're going to give Lamar Jackson NFL MVP, but in my mind, he don't deserve it. I think it's clearly 100% C.J. Stroud, but that's the unpopular answer, and nobody's ready for that conversation quite yet.
That is another conversation for another video, sir. That is a
that's definitely a conversation for another video. They're not ready to hear all the things why C.J. Stroud, in my opinion, is right there equal to with Lamar Jackson, and it's only his first year in the damn league. They're not ready for that conversation yet. But it's a hell of a conversation to have for another time. But I just think, Logan, that D'Amico Ryans, this culture, this team, and I always told you, it's not who's the better team. It's who's got the most damn momentum and playing the hottest football coming into town. And right now the Texans are fired up, and the Baltimore Ravens have had that long rest. Yes, it's in Baltimore, but man, this hot-handed team, Logan, could very well get the trick done. So I'm going to ride the underdog here, and I'm going to go with the Texans. I'm not putting out a score. I hate putting out scores. So I have not been right yet, but I'm going to definitely go Texans over the Ravens.
Yeah, I'll go with the Ravens in this one. I want this to be tight, but I don't know. I think this is going to be maybe the best game we're going to see in this divisional round. I mean, I think this is going to be high scoring. This is going to be a good game between obviously two of the better quarterbacks in football, which is what we want to see. That's what we want after, most of the games in the wild card round were blowouts. I need some close games, guys, and I hope this is a good one between two of the best teams and a really good battle here. So for me, I'll go Baltimore in this one. Tight game, though, as we mentioned. I'll go final score 35-32 in favor of the Ravens getting it done at home. Maybe some late in the clock heroics from Justin Tucker. We'll see. We will see.
Yeah.
All right. Halfway through. Let's move on now. The Buccaneers and the Lions in the divisional round in the NFC. They did it, guys. They won a game for the first time in my life in the playoffs. And my God, those fans didn't stop cheering from the time the gates opened to the time that they had to kick them out. So, Dustin, give your thoughts, man. Who's going to win this one? Will Detroit continue their magical run and keep biting off kneecaps? Or will, the Buccaneers, who played major spoiler, who knocked off the Philadelphia Eagles, obviously, they kind of continue their magical run when no one thought they'd even get here?
Yeah, I'm going to pick Detroit, but I got to take a phone call quick, so I'll take Jay quick.
All right, go ahead. So, Jay, go ahead and give your thoughts on that game then.
Yeah, quite honestly, I think this is kind of interesting to me. The fact that, shots were fired from Garner Johnson over to Baker Mayfield. Said that basically his team wasn't going to be prepared. He goes on to name the three wide receivers that, basically was saying they weren't going to get the job done. Of course, one of the wide receivers, I can't remember his name right offhand, but hasn't even played all season. And so Baker, basically chimes back, to Garner Johnson, telling him that, hey, look, maybe you got to watch a little bit more film because we haven't had one of the guys all season. So I don't think you know what you're talking about, basically pointing them out. So I like it. I like this game because it's got chippiness. It's got chips on the shoulder. It's got barbs before the game's even being played, exchanged. The Lions are starting to ride this confidence level that could be the thing that does them in, Logan, honestly. Because sometimes when you get too confident, you can fire up a team that may have been dormant a little bit or maybe not quite as motivated, as they say. And now you got a motivated Tampa team, which you saw what they did last week against the Eagles. So it's not like this team can't win. They can find ways to win. Baker is a competitive person. The last thing you need him is planting the Tampa Bay Bucks flag at Detroit Ford Field. That's the last thing we need to have happen for them, right? But
no doubt.
But it could happen. It can happen. I mean, Tampa's got a good defense. They got a good run game. So and Rashad White, they definitely got Godwin. They got Mike Evans. So I mean, come on, look, this team can do something, right?
They can.
And I'm not trying to dismiss what Detroit has over there and their run game and that two-headed monster of Gibbs and Montgomery. And what Gibbs can give you out of the back foot, obviously Laporta and company and St. Brown. I mean, they had Aiden Hutchinson. I mean, that's going to be the key for them. The key for them is, can Tampa keep Detroit's Aiden Hutchinson and company off of Baker Mayfield's back so we can find his open receivers or at least get through his progressions. So that's going to be the key for me, is the offensive line of Tampa, and can they get the job done against the Lions defense? I do still think, however, in a comma, that this Lions team, I think they're a little bit better right now. So I am going to ride the hot hand of Dan Campbell and the Lions, but I think it's going to be a close game. And I would not be surprised if Tampa did pull out a miracle and get the win.
Yeah, just kind of backtracking to that game in Tampa, a couple days ago. Jay, I don't know. I think we both picked the Eagles to win in round one just because they were a better team on paper. But I mean, my God, they had one of the worst records in the league. They were one of the ice coldiest teams you could think of. That's not even a word I'm using it on them. And my God, did it show.
Yeah.
That was an awful performance they put up. I mean, they couldn't stop nothing, and their offense wasn't much of nothing either. I mean, I think you knew once they stopped the tush push that they were cooked. They were done for.
Right.
But yeah, that's it, that's here said nor there. Just disappointing all around for the Eagles fans. And a huge win for Tampa Bay at home also. And then meanwhile, we mentioned for Detroit, obviously their fans were pumped. They finally got their first win for the first time in forever, since the 90s, in the early 90s at that. So they finally got that curse lifted off their shoulders. It's now the Dolphins, Jay, I believe, who have the longest playoffs drought in sports. They haven't won a game since, I think it was 2000. So it's been a while. It's been a while. But mad props to Detroit, man. Even if they go out, my God, this is the best season they've had in quite some time. I mean, I think this is kind of more even than people are talking about it in terms of the offense and the defense. I think it's a good matchup for both teams. But I got to go with the hot hand, dude. I got to go with the Detroit Lions. I got to see the fans even more pumped up. I got to see Dan Campbell screaming on the sidelines again. So I'll go Detroit Lions taking the W in this one. I'll go final score. I think this will be maybe a little bit more low scoring. I'll go 17-14 just because I think that we're going to see more of a defensive battle in this one. So it remains to be seen, but I think the Lions are going to keep on their hot streak. And, Jay, the final game of the playoffs for the divisional round, we have two old foes facing off one more time. This time, Kansas City goes on the road. Patrick Mahomes goes on the road, Jay, for the first time in his NFL career in the playoffs. So let us know, man. Also, before we go on that, Dustin said he's taking Detroit 31-20 in this one. And for this one, he says this is his game of the week, but they can't go against Kansas City in playoffs until they fail. Kansas City 34, Buffalo 28, his prediction for this game. Do you have a similar result, Jay? Do you have Kansas City once again, I don't know how many times this is, but once again, stopping Buffalo from a championship?
No, I'm going to go opposite of that. I do think it's going to be a good game, but this game's not in Kansas City, and that's where Patrick Mahomes is out of his comfort zone a little bit because this game will be in Buffalo. You got Bills Mafia. They're going to be hyped up. Everybody's going to be hyped up on this game. And again, I understand it's Kansas City, but if you've watched Kansas City all regular season, and I understand we're also talking regular season here, it's been not the same Kansas City team. I don't have that same confident vibe that I did the last couple of times they've been in the playoffs. And even this last game that they played in the playoffs, I wasn't 100% with the Dolphins, even though they did get the win handily over Miami. I think Miami was shorthanded on that defense, as we know, and I just don't think they ever got comfortable being in that cold weather. But Buffalo is comfortable in the cold weather. They are used to the cold weather. If anybody's used to the cold weather, it is the Buffalo Bills. So I don't think weather is going to be a factor at all. And look, Gabe Davis, that little kid, Shaquille, that number 10 kid, that's fast. He's quick. He's shifty. As a third option, Gabe Davis obviously is your number second. Obviously, you got Kincaid and company. Obviously the Pacheco versus Cook is going to be interesting to see. But I like Ed Oliver. I like Ed Oliver. And I like this defense that Buffalo is sporting that we didn't see from Miami against it. And so I am fully prepared. And I think Scott McDermott is going to have this team ready to go. And Josh Allen is going to be ready to go. And this is a running quarterback. And so I am going to go Buffalo. I think this is just their time. And I think it's going to be a great game. I think it'll be a close game, but I'm going Buffalo.
Yeah, so Dustin, we already read your scores, but if you have any your final thoughts, I guess, on both the Detroit game as well as this one here, go ahead and give it. The floor is yours.
Yeah, so like Jay said a couple times when him and I have done shows, Detroit and Kansas City was my Super Bowl prediction when the season started. And it's just kind of the way that a lot of the teams in the NFC are playing. I think Detroit is going to end up hosting the NFC Championship game because I have them pretty much dominating Tampa Bay. If it ends up being Detroit versus Green Bay to go to the Super Bowl, that's going to be one of the most incredible atmospheres that we've seen in the playoffs in a long time. But just the way that Dan Campbell's got that team playing, I think Detroit is destined to get to the Super Bowl in the NFC right now. And in terms of the Buffalo-Kansas City game, this is going to be the game of the week by far. This is the game that people have had circled on their calendars pretty much when the season starts because they know typically the Super Bowl has to go through one of these teams in the AFC. It's kind of been that way the last 5-6 years, and I think it's going to continue to be that way for a long time, even though this is Patrick Mahomes' first road game as a starting quarterback in the playoffs, which is hard to believe. He's still undefeated against Josh Allen in the playoffs. But Josh Allen is undefeated against Patrick Mahomes during the regular season. This isn't the regular season. This is the playoffs. And Kansas City may not have played at their best during the regular season, but I'm still trusting Kansas City in the playoffs over Josh Allen, which is why I have Kansas City beating Buffalo and then getting a chance to host the AFC Championship game next week.
One of the things real quick before Logan wraps this up is
go ahead.
I get what you're saying. The thing that makes this game for me the most interesting, and we've all pointed out, Dustin did a good job pointing out a lot of the similarities, is how all the unknowns are of this, right? He hasn't played on the road in a playoffs game, and that does affect some things. When you got Bills Mafia at home, how is he going to handle Bills Mafia? And this is a cold weather team. I mean, there's a lot of unknowns to say, this, that, or the other. So I'm looking forward to this game because there's still a lot of things that we don't know yet. Right?
Mm-hmm. That's true. I mean, my God, they were shoveling snow out of their seats last week in Buffalo. They were paying the fans to do it.
Did you hear what happened with the game last week?
What about it?
They had a lot of hypothermia victims.
Yeah.
Like the Buffalo game, like you had your tickets for the game, but because you couldn't see your seats, it was pretty much you sit wherever.
Oh, yeah, and it was only for certain sections. I heard it wasn't for the entire thing.
Hey, he said you get in where you can fit in.
He said, "All right, just screw it, sit here." I know if you got a beer or any drink that if you opened it, it was pretty much done for in less than a minute. I think just because of how cold it was, for God's sake. But
so we get a koozie.
Oh yeah, you need about 3 of them in that weather. It was -5. It was like one of the top coldest games in NFL history. I think it was top 5. So just a wild experience. I don't think it's gonna be as cold this week, thank God. But I think it's gonna be a good matchup. Obviously, these two teams have history. They hate each other, and that's what you like to see in the divisional round. A chance to go to the conference championship. Obviously, Kansas City hasn't had the greatest season. Buffalo, they had a slow start. They've really picked it up here as of late. I got to go with the Buffalo Bills, getting some revenge. I'm getting some justice and moving on with Bills Mafia to the conference championship game. Final score for me in this one, I'll go 33-30 in favor of the Bills, finally getting the W. As always, Jay McLovin and Dustin Reese. Always a pleasure, my friends, talking some sports with y'all. I've been your host and producer, Logan Landers. Hey, if you guys enjoyed the video, go check us out on social media at the following platforms you see here and also on LinkedIn. We go live each and every single week. Well, guys, enjoy your weekend. Go watch some football, and we'll see y'all again on another live episode. We'll see you in